Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK with the shitty lighting. My name is Brian. Welcome to another review of Coldplay's new album, A Head Full of Dreams. Coldplay is an alt-rock, pop-rock, bunch of different stuff band from the UK, and this is their 7th album, and apparently their last album was Ghost Stories, which came out last year, and it was my favorite album of last year. And I know people have very particular opinions on the band and that album as well, but considering the fact I thought last year was kind of a poo-poo year, and mainly because that was just an album that came at a weird time in my life and just really connected with me, not necessarily as much lyrically, but just kind of pulled me in sonically. I loved it. It just was an album that I kept listening to all year. And so I was kind of nervous when they already announced this new album. I didn't really know what to expect, mainly because this was the shortest time they were doing an album, a little over a year, well, close to 2 years actually. And I was very interested in what they were going to do because of them talking about this being not necessarily a companion album, but more so of the upbeatness that Ghost Stories wasn't, which was a lot more somber and a lot more serious and a little bit quieter. And also because from the way it sounded, it was sort of taking in some aspects of Milo Zolotto, which was their album before Ghost Stories, a little bit more pop and upbeat. And certain tracks from it came out, Adventure of a Lifetime and Everglow, and I was very interested hearing those two songs. And ironically, there's a lot of interesting kind of comparisons with this and Ghost Stories. For example, I think the intro, A Head Full of Dreams, kind of how it swoos in, seems a lot like Always in My Head from Ghost Stories. It kind of has a really similar kind of way to intro the album. And there's some really interesting kind of Oceans synth lines on the track Everglow that I was talking about. But other than that, it's a very contrastly different album. There's Beyonce, Tove Lo, Noel Gallagher on it. So again, I was nervous, but I was still really excited to hear what it was going to be. Maybe it's the fact of kind of where I am again in my life, but I kind of was a sucker for this album. I loved it. I think a lot of the times the music was really great. I thought sometimes the lyrics were actually really good, and then sometimes they were kind of whatever. But I think what's so great about this album is a lot of the experimentation could have instantly have just fallen off a cliff. For example, honestly, probably my favorite track on here, Hymn for the Weekend, which it starts off, and I knew this was the Beyonce track. It threw me off. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. And then when it started, I was like, okay. And then once the music kicked in, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of liking this. But then once it got to the chorus itself, like how it swoons in, it's huge, I love. But like the chorus lyrically is just like, oh, this is kind of just meh. At the same time though, I think it just was able to hold my attention this whole entire time. I was a sucker. It was so well put together. And I think that's what this album has going for it, is it's so upbeat. And I think sometimes, even though there's certain tracks on here I really like, something like Up&Up, which is the final track on here, I think the music's kind of okay, and then some of the lyrics and all that are corny, but something like Hymn for the Weekend, I think is just such a great track. An Adventure of a Lifetime, where the music behind is just so great and danceable and upbeat and loud and all this sort of stuff. And some of the lyrics are decent, some of the lyrics are kind of corny, but it's just, the song is just so great. And like I said, A Head Full of Dreams, the opening track, I love this as well. And then we got something like Everglow. Again, like I just mentioned, it has these really somber pianos, and Gwyneth Paltrow kind of features on some random like, hey vocals throughout it. But then there's a track like Army of One, which, god damn it, this would have been my favorite track on the whole album until it gets to that X Marks the Spot song, which I think this, maybe kind of combined with Fun, are the two low points for me. But I think this takes the cake. I thought the production was just so like drab, and the whole heart ba-boom boom, that was when I was like, you know what, I can handle corny. I'm a sucker for it, but that just was like, bleh. But Army of One, it pissed me off because this track was so great. Just these booming organs that play throughout it is just so great. And then again, it just gets to that part and it's so annoying. But going back to sort of the lyrics and whatnot, I think Chris Martin sounds like he's having such a great time on here, especially on something like Amazing Day. I think his vocals were great. I thought he had great range, and this is a much more slower down-tempo track, and he sounded really good on it, and I think he seems like he's having a lot of fun on here, and he's really giving it his all at a lot of moments. And then the two shortest tracks on here, Kaleidoscope and Color Spectrum, were Color Spectrum, which is weird. I just realized it's sort of like a wrap-up of the rest of the album, like it's little snippets from each song, and then Kaleidoscope is like this kind of weird spoken word piece with some like kind of haunting pianos with some bells here and there. But I mean, overall, as a full project, I really love this. I think just the upbeatness of it is great. There's some really great tracks like the opener, Hymn for the Weekend, Adventure of a Lifetime, and it really comes to a point where I think just listening to it over and over again, yes, I think there's certain elements to it that can easily be corny or kind of whatever, so, but I think overall as a focused project, it's a band that's changing, and it's a style that some people hate, and I know everybody on the internet has a very interesting opinion about Coldplay. Personally, for me, I've always liked Coldplay, and I think ever since Milo Zalotto, they sort of have been going in a very more kind of produced songs kind of direction with sort of the music that they're going with, and I honestly think they still just do a really good job handling that sort of sound, but sort of being a little bit more rock-ish with some of the elements on here. But honestly, I don't know. I think this is a great sort of follow-up to Ghost Stories, and it's so interesting to sort of think about that album going into this and just sort of that change. And again, I think I'm a sucker because of where I am in my life, but honestly, I really enjoyed this album. But what you guys think of this album? Are you a sucker like me? Are you, oh, Coldplay's the worst, blah, blah, blah. Just let me know with all those aspects in the comments below. If you please like, and please subscribe for more music reviews as well as movie and television reviews, original stuff hopefully coming soon, and raw discussions every now and again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK. Peace out, guys.